At a college reunion, Liam was tackled and forcibly kissed by a female college. The clip of the forced kiss was posted online by someone with an agenda, rocketing to the top of the trending tabloid headlines. Within an hour, Liam had it scrubbed. He also dragged the IP address that leaked the video into civil court. The moment he finished, Liam came straight home, knelt in the rain begging forgiveness. Rain plastered down the hair he usually kept perfect, leaving it limp and dripping. If this were all, Liam would be the victim too, so I settled for a slap on the wrist punishment. His eyes blood red, he buried his head in my lap, nuzzling and wailing, "If you still won't forgive me, I'll die of grievance. It's all that bitch in Heat's fault, disgusting." Besides kneeling in the rain, Liam prepared apology fireworks for me. All those loud, flashy declarations of love, I'd thought we were still the same. Until, on a whim, I brought him lunch and accidentally overheard him in the office with his best, "A bitch in heat is the only kind that tastes right. She's just as wild in bed as the day she tackled me." My mind went blank, the thermos lunch jar almost slipped from my fingers. Watching the soup dribble over the rim, filthy. My hand froze on the doorknob when he added, "You guys have no clue how insane this month's been. I'd take Serena shopping, and while she was in the fitting room for maybe 3 minutes, I had Chloe screaming in the next stall." All month he'd been terrified I'd mind. I assured him over and over I didn't, but he stayed frantic. He knew my emotional OCD was severe. So the man who never had a spare second hauled his work everywhere, glued to me 24/7. Yet in that baby life he still carved out minutes to cheat. Filthy. His best gasped, "Serena's body is flawless, Chloe's shaped like a bean sprout." "Have you lost it, best?" Liam drawled, "Even gourmet feasts get boring, sometimes you crave fast food." The best chuckled lewdly, "Nice, let me sample that gourmet dish sometime." "I like," a deafening crash cut him off. Liam hurled an ashtray at his head. Then came Liam's icy voice, "Stop fantasizing, unless you want to lose your head." He yanked the man's biggest co-branded project on the spot. Thrown out of the office, the guy muttered, "So many side chicks and he plays Romeo? If it's true love, why no marriage license after all these years?" The onlooker sees clearest. Tears I hadn't suppressed fell harder. A message pinged, only then did I realize I was back home. Unlocking the phone, I saw a friend request from someone with the same avatar as mine, the matching profile pic Liam forced on me in bed the morning after he begged forgiveness. Swallowing nausea, I changed my avatar first, then accepted. Her WhatsApp name was her real one, Chloe. I braced for something X-rated. Instead, she sent a red background photo of Liam and herself. "Guess why we took this picture?" "Oh right, Vance has never married, how would she know?" My fist clenched until nails bit my palm. I knew she was baiting me, yet it stabbed all the same. How could I not know? I'd studied the tiny steps to marry Liam 100 times, but he might as well be undocumented. Every paper proving identity was gripped by Ashford. Years ago Liam defied his family to keep me beside him, pulling me out of the abyss, making me believe love existed. So how could he fail to scrape together a few documents? I laughed at myself. Another ping, the number that haunts me year-round. "In 3 days you'll join the mistress squad that drove your mother to her death." This time I'm not forcing him, he brought the girl's file and begged me. Pathetic, all those years you've toiled in his bed, if you like, I can make you vanish quietly. A fist closed around my heart. The suffocating despair of 10 years ago surged back. Dad had cheated with my German tutor, using me as cover. When Mom found out, she hated Dad and me. The scandal burst, the mistress arrived with her crew for a public mistress confrontation. Grandma collapsed and died. Mom began a crazed vendetta against Dad and the mistress. Vance became their battleground. The day it went bankrupt, Dad jumped from the roof. Mom, as if finishing a mission, lit herself on fire in self-immolation. I seemed forgotten. Liam's love had healed me, yet I still loathe every mistress and cheating bastard. And Liam knew. So why turn me into a mistress? With 30% hope, 70% dread, I rang Liam. Ring after ring, just as I gave up, he answered. I blurted, "Let's get the marriage certificate, okay?" At that instant, if he said yes, I might forgive the cheating. A shrill female laugh slashed the line. I panicked and hung up. My heart plunged to the floor. I fetched Liam's silver lighter from the nightstand and set the silk sheets ablaze. I sat on the carpet, watching the flames blossom. No thoughts, only the smothering smoke that felt perversely safe. This way, no one could ever lie to me again. Before blackness swallowed me, a thunderous crash, and a thought flashed, if only I could start over. The stench of disinfectant slammed into my nostrils. I hadn't died after all. The deafening roar I'd heard before blacking out had been Liam barreling through the inferno and hauling me out of the bedroom. He sat at my bedside, eyes swollen, cheeks blistered. His clothes still reeked of fresh smoke. He looked absolutely wrecked. He hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. "Tell me you didn't light it yourself. Say it was an accident, please?" His whole frame shook uncontrollably. Habitual love blurted the answer before I could think. Of course it was an accident. The instant the words left my mouth his trembling eased, and I froze. Old reflexes had betrayed me, unasked accusations piled up behind my teeth. Then I spotted a vivid red hickey blooming just inside his half-open collar, like a plum blossom branded on his skin. I shoved him away so violently the bed frame rattled. I shook as I stared at the mark on his throat, fighting the wave, but my body revolted and I started vomiting, hard, helpless, endless. His hurt expression flipped to pure anguish. While he pounded my back he yelled for a doctor at the top of his lungs. I couldn't break free of his touch, so the retching wouldn't stop. Only when the staff finally made him leave the room did my stomach quit clenching. Chloe's Instagram told the rest. Seconds before he heroically saved me, he'd been inside the glass-walled conservatory I'd decorated, playing dirty games with her. "The closer we got to your bed, the wilder he went," she boasted. A sliver of me felt grateful it wasn't Liam who picked up the phone. Either way, I couldn't stomach the thought of his contaminated skin. For 3 days he stood outside my door, bathroom breaks only. Whenever he stepped inside, my throat closed and the heaving began. He noticed the pattern fast. Panic flickered in his eyes. He suspected I knew, but he couldn't let himself believe it. On the 4th morning the nurse lost the sleeping pill she'd promised me. I didn't want to bother anyone, and I had zero idea how to talk to Liam, so I squeezed my eyes shut and pretended to drift off. Late that night he slipped in, brushed a kiss on my forehead, so lovingly it felt like worship. I swallowed the urge to gag. 3 decades of memory crashed over me. Love that deep makes betrayal feel lethal. A single thought crystallized: if I could rewind time, I'd pray never to meet him again. Before the thought settled, fabric rustled near the foot of the bed. "Quit it. If she finds you, I've got 10,000 ways to make you vanish." Liam's whisper was almost inaudible, yet in the tiny room I caught every syllable. A breathy giggle answered, laced with moans. But you love this, admit it. You still wouldn't go get the marriage certificate today. Compensate me, or I'll tattle to Ashford." The woman's tone flirted with menace, all sugary pout. Liam's growl carried thick desire. "Little vixen, hungry again already? You're waving a feather like it's a sword. Since when have I ever feared my mother?" The door clicked shut. I opened my eyes. Afraid of me? How laughable. Barefoot, I padded after them. I didn't hide, didn't care if Liam saw me. Part of me hoped he would, but he was too far gone to notice. Chloe spotted me and flashed a smug grin, yet Liam stayed lost in her neck, oblivious. I expected to shatter, instead my hand held the phone perfectly steady. Reading the lens, Chloe wound herself even tighter around him. Oddly, witnessing the live porn dulled my nausea instead of spiking it. So this is what love looks like when it rots. Back in my room I answered the anonymous message waiting in my inbox. Tomorrow night, same hour, inferno as the signal. I slept straight through till dawn without any pill. Early light found Liam crouched outside my door clutching breakfast. I beckoned him in. Mustering courage, I burrowed into his chest the way I used to. Delight flared in his eyes. Then he wilted, voice cracking. What happened to you? You almost killed me with worry. Tell me everything, talk to me. Smiling, I spoke in the calmest register I own. Really? Then here goes. He nodded hard, just like the boy I once knew, as though no years had passed. But time doesn't stand still. I couldn't believe the Riverdale prince still carried that teenage sincerity. To me, every gesture now reeked of theater. I had a dream, I said. We finally got the marriage certificate, and then you cheated. The steadier my tone, the faster the color drained from his face. I let him inspect me, still smiling, never glancing at the brand new ring he'd hidden beneath his left hand. After 10 seconds he exhaled, convinced it had been only a dream. I never tested him again. We horsed around like old times until night folded over the ward. I pretended to doze off early in his arms, wondering what I'd do if he stayed past midnight. But just like the previous night, the sultry whisper floated in right on schedule. Liam's anxious footsteps hurried away and never came back. Silent, I said goodbye inside my head. While Liam tried some fresh contortion with Chloe, his phone buzzed once, then a wall of heat rolled down the corridor. The sky outside the window blazed crimson. Liam sprinted down the corridor bare-chested, hurling himself at Serena's door. Upper half naked, he slammed against the wood like a man possessed. Serena! Serena! Both shoulders were already blistered, blood seeping through the broken skin. Only when the bodyguard's Eleanor had pinned him down and shot a sedative into his vein did he finally stop. The drug was meant to keep him under 8 hours, he surfaced after 3. He grabbed the doctor Eleanor had sent to dress his wounds. Where's Serena? Which room? Tell me, now, which room? The doctor dared not answer, he worked for Eleanor. She had once watched Liam's insanity to keep Serena, locking himself inside a freezer for 24 hours, half dead from cold. Now that Serena was gone, Eleanor did not dare leave her son alone. She rubbed her reddened eyes. In a pitying voice she said, Liam, heal first. When you're better, Mama will take you to her. Don't worry. I chose a beautiful plot for her. It's ringed with white roses, her favorite. Liam's mind went blank, watching his mother's crimson lips open and close. He seemed unable to process her words. What room is she in? How badly is she hurt? She's dead. Seeing Liam's shattered face, Eleanor dropped the pretense and told him outright. Liam snatched the chair beside him and smashed it at her. Impossible. The corner caught her foot, she yelped and jumped back. Why impossible? She shrieked. She nearly torched the Ashford estate last week, today she nearly burned down the hospital. If it's not her property she doesn't care. Dead, and still poisoning our family. Depression? She was just too comfortable. Shut your mouth. Liam's bloodshot eyes froze her tirade. Afraid to provoke him further, Eleanor pressed her lips shut. Where is she now? His hollow voice echoed in the room. After a long pause Eleanor mumbled, the ashes are at Riverdale home. Liam whipped his head toward her as though she were the enemy. Why? Why the hurry? The savagery in his stare terrified her. She whispered, she was burned beyond recognition. Better Ash. She loved being beautiful, she wouldn't want you to see her blackened. Every word stabbed him. He roared in agony, a lone wolf with its leg in a trap. Before he could absorb the news, a phone buzzed, the notification drew him to Serena's final message to him. He cut the incoming call without hesitation, opened their chat. A video of him tangled with Chloe. And Serena's last voice note. It broke him. She didn't accuse, didn't ask why. She said, Happy early wedding day. Don't follow me, or I'll be angry. Liam clawed his hair and punched his own cheeks again and again. How? I clearly. Is Liam awake? Chloe burst in, and he found a target. Was it you? Did you shove it in her face? Hurts, Liam, you're hurting me, he crushed her wrist, she squealed. Once he would have soothed her on the silk sheets. Now every face looked like an enemy. She denied it, but he assumed he'd hidden the affair well. He snatched her phone and scrolled. Chloe snatched back, failed, the thread with Serena unfurled beneath his eyes. Really just Chloe taunting, Serena silent. He read, but pretended he'd found nothing. Chloe exhaled, thinking herself safe. Yet after Liam buried Serena and rose again as Riverdale's golden heir, the sterling name vanished from the South District overnight. Chloe dropped to her knees, begging for mercy. Liam stepped on her hand and ground his heel. Bitch. If not for you, Serena would never have spiraled into suicide. At first she apologized frantically, craving any scrap of forgiveness. But forgiveness was impossible. He locked his fingers around her throat, madness blazing, intent on killing. Chloe, half strangled, went insane with terror. When she tore free, she stared up at him and laughed coldly. Am I really to blame for Serena's death? Our first time, weren't you half the instigator? You booked every hotel, every back seat. You loved the thrill as much as I did. Chloe poured oil on the fire. I only said my family wanted an alliance. So my parents would let me out to play with you. You begged your mama for the household register the next day. Liam's face drained from black to white. She sneered on, in all these years did you ever ask your mama for that register for Serena? Serena loved you, and you knew mistresses were her nightmare. Yet you almost made her one herself. Shut up. Everything started when you threw yourself at me at that college party, your fault, all of it. His eyes were scarlet. Chloe laughed like a madwoman. Keep lying to yourself. You screw me on those silk sheets while telling Serena I love you. Chloe sneered, if I were Serena, I'd be sick to my stomach. In a flash, Liam's mind replayed the image of Serena doubled over in stress-induced vomiting. Once again, just like the day he'd been told she was dead, he clutched his head and spiraled into the storm inside his skull. He locked himself in his room for a full day and night. When the charred walls stopped smoldering, the only thing left in his mind was the silhouette of Serena lighting the inferno as the signal. He opened her WhatsApp thread, dense rows of blue, unanswered longing. His thumb kept scrolling until her profile picture appeared. Only then did it hit him, at some point Serena had replaced their matching profile pic without telling him. The unease swelled. Once she discovered the serial cheating, she couldn't stand the sight of their couple avatar. In the hospital, whenever he stepped close, Serena's body erupted into frantic retching. And the dream she'd told him the last day before she vanished. Each memory dragged Liam deeper into self-reproach. After that, Riverdale's golden heir crumbled, the benchmark successor never stood back up. Eleanor had promised me a ticket to Australia, but the moment I landed in Sydney I turned around and boarded a flight to Germany. Liam knew my parents' tragedy had left me prejudiced against anything German. So he'd never look for me here. Touching down in a country where I knew no one, I paid the beginner's price. Once accustomed to meals appearing in close laid out, I now had to solve the simplest puzzle, how to feed myself. Ashford had wired me a sum, limited, of course. In her eyes, I had wasted years of her son's life. Letting me leave alive was already an act of mercy. The cash barely covered 2 one-way fares from Australia to Germany. But hardship felt trivial. After clawing through depression, scrambling for groceries left no room for ghosts. Life, in a strange way, improved. Later, with my clumsy German, I was hired by Riverdale to teach Chinese. My routine shrank to a quiet line, classroom, apartment, classroom. So when a gaunt, almost spectral Liam appeared, I didn't recognize him. I walked past without a sideways glance. If he hadn't caught my wrist, I would have mistaken him for some homeless stranger I had no power to help. Serena, his voice, weathered and frayed, froze me in place. The Liam in my memories blurred, the man in front of me refused to align. Meeting again, my aversion felt diluted, as though he were merely someone whose name I'd once known. I offered the same bright, practiced smile I give my students. Hi, can I help you? His eyes flooded, tears spilled shamelessly. He wept for an hour straight. Pedestrians stared. I couldn't pry my hand free, and the familiar nausea rolled in my chest. Let go. He still played the old trick, pressing my captive hand to his cheek. Kneeling on the pavement, he looked like the devoted boyfriend begging for one more chance. But the more he performed, the sharper the betrayal replayed in my mind, ready to surge back and swallow me. Only then did I realize my previous calm had simply been a product of distance, out of sight, out of heart. I stopped resisting the queasiness, I stepped aside and vomited on the curb. Liam hovered, helpless. A passerby urged in broken English, "Hurry, take, picture for her." Liam didn't dare come closer. The stranger shot him a disgusted look, then handed me a tissue. I walked away until the sickness passed. When Liam saw I was steady, he took a step toward me. I lifted a hand. "Please, let me go. You saw it yourself, physically, mentally, I can't accept you anymore." Remorse filled his gaze. "I'm sorry, Serena. I know I was monstrous, but Chloe seduced me first. When two adults tangle, men always find a woman to blame." I listened in silence, waiting for him to exhaust every excuse. "I won't come near you, just come home with me, okay? Let me look after you, ease myself back into your life. It was only this once, I swear I'll fix it perfectly. The whole year you were gone, I guarded our house, no female came within 10 feet. Before I flew here, I scrubbed myself raw in the shower again and again. Serena, please, try to forgive me this once." His plea was earnest, but inside me nothing moved. The past was a closed chapter, forgiveness was irrelevant, it was simply something that had happened. 30 years growing up together, you know exactly who I am. I used to think no one on earth understood you better than I did. But, Liam, the old me was wrong, and you don't owe me an apology. Sorry might have meant something to the girl I was, but to who I am now it's just an interruption. I paused, then added, "We're separate individuals, you made your choices, I keep my convictions. I had every right to love you, and I have every right to leave. Just like you said you loved me, yet you could still order your body into another woman's bed. Honestly, I don't blame you anymore, just stop disturbing my peace." My voice grew calmer with every word. Liam's face drained of color. I turned away, he lingered, torn. I returned to my tiny apartment and opened my laptop as I did every other night. The original plan had been to start preparing my lessons. In the end, I was still interrupted. Memories of the past kept flooding the quiet room. The dark silhouette outside the cottage lingered in the snow the entire night. It felt as though it overlapped with the rainy day in my memory. Only this time, there were no longer two tiny figures fighting inside my heart. At first light, Liam collapsed in the snow. Barely 2 minutes later, Ashford arrived with bodyguards. Liam was hauled away by the guards. Ashford knocked on my door. I opened it. Compared with Liam's haggardness, Ashford looked as if she had withered overnight. The wrinkles on her face were like those of an old woman from an ordinary family. "Serena, everything I did to you in the past was my personal fault. Chloe's appearance was also an arrangement I had premeditated for a long time." With tears in her eyes, Ashford pleaded, "Liam truly loves you, Chloe was merely a passing amusement. You know our circle, hardly any man lacks twittering women at his side. So, Serena, please try to forgive Liam, okay? I'm willing to leave Ashford and spend the rest of my life in a temple praying for you too." I refused without a second thought. I looked straight into Ashford's eyes and said, "I used to tolerate you because I loved Liam. The only reason I can stand here facing you now is that I no longer love him, I want him kept far away from me. I don't know what happened to you this year, but not loving is simply not loving. If you're willing to let your son keep getting hurt by me, then pretend I said nothing." The hope in Ashford's gaze dimmed at once. "You've changed. You've become ruthless. Ever since Liam fell apart over you, Ashford hasn't thrived the way it used to. But it can still give you a life far better than what you have now." She tried to find even a flicker of longing for that better life on my face. She was disappointed. The good life she spoke of was, in my eyes, nothing but false prosperity and a gilded cage. When begging failed, Ashford's expression turned vicious in an instant. Of course, I can also make sure your life becomes miserable. I glanced calmly at Liam behind her. A slight smile curved my lips. Ashford's body stiffened, she spun around in panic. Liam's fists were clenched so tightly they trembled. Through gritted teeth he hissed, "You dare threaten her." The resentment on Liam's face made Ashford's back hunch instantly, all her threatening bravado gone. After Liam's downfall, Ashford couldn't bear it and revealed that I was still alive. Precisely because of her disclosure, Liam traced the clues and investigated everything. Every past detail, even Ashford's decade-long ridicule and covert malice toward me, Liam uncovered all of it. Just as he claimed only Chloe had seduced him, completely blind to his own eroded self-control and the contempt for me long buried in his heart, he heaped every fault and grudge onto Ashford. Liam lashed out at her in front of me. Ashford apologized to him over and over. Yet the scene made me laugh. "Save it, Liam. Our relationship's mistakes lie solely between you and me. No matter how much others fanned the flames, if you'd had an ounce of firmness we would never have reached this point. Stop blaming everyone else, all right? It's simply your fault." In the past I'd never had the heart to point out his flaws so sharply. Now he meant nothing to me. If I talked to him calmly he'd take it as a lover's spat and assume there was still hope, better to let him hear hatred. I stared into Liam's flustered eyes and said, loud and clear, "Stop tormenting yourself, serial cheating is a deal-breaker, I will never forgive it. If you keep disturbing my life, I'll only despise you more." Liam looked completely crushed. I slammed the door shut with force. Liam stood outside for a long while. When I went out again he was still there. For more than half a year he kept hanging around my neighborhood, following me to and from work. At first I was irritated, but eventually I learned to ignore his existence. Gradually I grew used to it, even accepted a colleague's confession and started dating. My boyfriend and I dated openly, holding hands, kissing, embracing, never hiding a thing. Liam saw it all. His eyes went from frantic to desolate, then to deep remorse. Finally, the day I brought my newlywed husband, certificate already in hand, back to the cottage, Liam stood in the darkness for one last night, then never showed up again. And in the course of my marriage I gradually forgot that man. Until one day a huge sum appeared in my account and the name Liam surfaced in my mind once more. The year Liam returned home he soon collapsed in that dark, empty room, and the hospital diagnosed terminal brain tumor. In the short time left to him he tore Ashford apart. Seeing no chance of persuading him, Ashford actually went to live in a temple. At the very end Liam had his lawyer draw up a will, naming me heir to his inheritance fortune. I did not play the saint and donate the money. Instead, my husband and I quit our jobs and put the sum into a low-risk portfolio. On that money we now live a carefree life. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe for more wonderful stories. See you next time.